Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the movie Mickey 17 on HBO. I'd kind of recorded it, so I'm glad I did because I was kind of interested in this from the trailers, and I really wouldn't recommend this one. Not that it's really horrible or anything. I didn't have a bad time with it. I enjoyed the performances, mainly of Robert Pattinson as Mickey 17, and kind of the ones in his close kind of proximity. But the kind of like overarching villains were just kind of one note. I don't mind it being like this rich fucking ex-politician does this kind of colonization thing to this ice planet Niflheim, but that's pretty much it. He's just an idiot asshole, and they don't really do enough with it, as well as other kind of completing subplots that kind of are trying to do a lot of things and say things that really just go about an inch deep, pretty much. I kind of wanted them to explore more of the Expendables kind of program that was going on here and have a kind of better flow for the movie. Because we start off with Mickey pretty much having fallen into this ice hole, and then his friend Timo pretty much being like, you're gonna die, man. That's alright. I'm gonna take your flamethrower and go back and everything. And then we get flashbacks that they pretty much were doing a Macron business, and this got from this loan shark, and this loan shark's like, you've got about 2 weeks, and this dude, he's pretty much gonna get chainsawed into pieces and shit. And they're like, shit. So they decide to go on this colonization expedition, as we kind of get the idea that's the only kind of way to kind of escape this dude. That kind of comes back in later on as Timo's pretty much forced. Timo is pretty much forced to try and kill Mickey. I mean, to make sure that the associate doesn't kill him, but it takes so long to kind of get there. We also then see what's kind of going on, because this was about 4-ish years ago, and then we see like a sandstorm and everything on Earth as Mickey is applying. He can only get into the expendable. Timo was able to get as a shuttle pilot, so they get onto there. We see Mickey going through various different things. They pretty much use him to test things, kill him, and then reprint his body out. As his memories are pretty much backed up, we see that he deals with like the childhood memory of like thinking that he was responsible for his mother's death. That only kind of pops up when we get into a multiple situation, which we see that there are ethical dilemmas with this kind of program, but they're kind of glossed over more instead of as deeply dived as they could be, because we see the impetus for it, that they did it, and this one dude pretty much had all these other ones, and he was like pretty much arrested for these murders. However, there's a third fucking multiple out there doing all this kind of shit, because we see that Mickey was not killed by the native inhabitants of Niflheim, but instead dragged out and pretty much like, yeah, go on, do your shit. And they had already pretty much reprinted his ass, so we've got 17 and 18. 18 pretty much knocking boots with Nasha. The woman that Mickey has a relationship with, she's more of a kind of police officer, security kind of forces one, and they have an interesting kind of dynamic. However, it's when the multiple situation comes into effect where she's like, oh yeah, I pretty much have two now, that kind of shit, and it's like, alright, that's kind of sucky there. Now, if the roles were reversed, I'd just be like, yeah, that's sucky, don't be that kind of asshole. Because it's just when you get into multiple partner situations, it's like, what the fuck? And then we also got this subplot with this Kai chick, and she's with this other woman, but she's kind of playing it Mickey 17, and then her significant other is killed on the same kind of expedition that had Mickey kind of fallen into a hole as well. Well, no, not that same expedition. Sorry, I'm conflating and confusing certain kind of things. She gets Kai's significant other gets killed because she was shooting the creepers, and like ice kind of fell down on her, and then as punishment, Mickey was pretty much put out there to pretty much get a creeper no matter what, and then Timo pretty much dropped like some food for him, and then he fell into a hole. Well, the ice caved in and he fell into a hole. It's like, okay, let's see. And then when he kind of like gets to like, there's certain kind of things that are going on with the whole kind of multiple scenario. At first, 18 is pretty much very sociopathic, pretty much psychopathic, delving into that. Even though you've got backup memories, these are pretty much distinct kind of people, and he tries to kill Mickey 17. Also, then trying to kill Timo as well, as he pretty much came in when he was dealing with pretty much flamethrower fuel being used as a drug. But however, he's saved because someone pretty much pops in and is like, oh yeah, so Mickey 17 kind of hides out. That's where Nasha tries to like get into the affected, figure out what's kind of going on and how to kind of plan this out. However, Mickey 17 also gets kind of like then brought into this kind of dinner thing with the head honcho, Mark Ruffalo's character. Let's see. Kenneth Marshall. And him and his wife are just like overly cartoonish. It's fine for a little bit, but the thing is, this is like an over 2 hour movie. And it just kind of gets annoying because they get really kind of one note. Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 have more kind of character growth and kind of to even just dive into. We see that Mickey 17 pretty much just like goes at this kind of meat. It's this artificial meat, and it like starts fucking with him. They bring the science team in to then like try and use the like painkiller to try and help him. And he's like, all right, I'm okay. He survives this kind of stuff because Marshall was just going to shoot his ass, and of course he'd be reprinted. Then of course we'd still have different kind of weird ass scenarios going on. But Kai is kind of still more into Mickey, trying to figure out what it's like to die for a significant other. Weirdest kind of thing is these, when you're in the expendable program, you have to have your body scanned and shit. And the thing is, she pretty much gets dropped off after, like, this whole kind of incident where Marshall had the science team bring in this giant rock. That's how Mickey 17 kind of came back in, as they were kind of fucking around with that. And Mickey 18 wants to assassinate the Kenneth dude for what he did, Kenneth Marshall, to Mickey 17. He's like, you can't do that shit, you motherfucker. And then pretty much goes to try to assassinate the dude. However, everything kind of goes completely under Nutty Dude on Nutty Day. They cut open the rock. Some creepers pop out and start like fucking around with shit. One of the creepers is killed. One of them is captured. These are baby creepers. And the multiple situations going on. That's where Timo gets dropped into the whole effect of trying to kill one of the Mickeys. Except they escape. Well, not really escape. They kind of get captured again. And they're like, oh, all these creepers are going around and circling the place because one of the babies was killed, and one of the other ones is like the other one is screaming, and Marshall's wife for some reason cuts off the thing's tail to make a sauce. And I'm like, what the fuck's kind of going on with this shit? Okay, whatever. And he's pretty much trying to use figuring out how to use a gas on the creepers. We see the mama kind of one, but Mickey 17 was able to pretty much have enough of a mimicking of the language for one of the other scientists to make a translator. So both of the Mickeys are put with explosive vests, and Marshall's like, go out there and get like 100 tails for my wife for her sauces. And the thing is, Nasha is pretty much calling him out and calling them fucking idiotic morons. And then he tries to pretty much engineer a situation where the baby will get killed, and Nasha pretty much grabs the rope in her teeth and keeps on to that. Mickey and 17 and 18 go out, pretty much talk to the mama one. Is like, you killed one of ours, we're going to kill one of yours. That's pretty much the fair trade. And bring the other baby out. It's like, alright, let's see what goes on with this. So Nasha and other security forces are able to instigate a kind of coup. Marshall kind of goes out to try and kill the mama to be the big asshole kind of dude. Except things go completely utterly nutty. 18 pretty much goes and figures out his assassination mission, like for like, kills the Kenneth dude. They are able to get the baby back to the mama, and they kind of just figure out everything and get it all kind of worked out at the end. The wife is pretty much hospitalized in a kind of psych ward, but then kills herself. We have Mickey 17 having a weird dream about like the wife trying to reprint the husband, and then like her wrists kind of being slit and blood kind of pooling in her hand before Mickey wakes up. The expendable program being abolished, and Nasha becoming one of on the committee and doing this kind of effect, and Mickey pushing the button to blow up the printer. Mickey talking with the mama, who's pretty much bluffed that they could make a sound that would make someone's head explode. But seeing them talk, cultivate crops and everything, and kind of have a better kind of end. Let's see. Timo even survives throughout the whole thing, pretty much taking out the associate that was sent to kill him. Let's see. And somehow at the end, Kai's significant other pops back up. Being like, okay. There's even a lot of stuff in the movie where it's like, okay, you kind of have... that they've explained all this stuff with the expendable program. It's like, did you forget this, or are you just attempting to make this into kind of like a happy ending for her? I don't mind that, but like, work for it. That doesn't need to be just willy-nilly. But, I mean, the cinematography was pretty good. The graphics, costuming, and set were awesome. Pattinson and Nasha's relationship, both with 18 and 17, were very interesting. But they're the ones that get the most depth. Kai was pretty much attached for pretty much relationship drama, which is kind of ironic because we already got that relationship drama with 17 and 18, and everything kind of introduced with that. So it's like, alright. Timo was just pretty much to be the impetus of what was kind of going on with Mickey being in the Expendables program, so his kind of stuff kind of just adds kind of extraneous things, in my opinion. I would have much rather focused on the unfair treatment of Mickey in the Mickey 17 and the whole thing with the Expendables program, and how they pretty much just like, you keep dying over and over. I mean, they tested gases on him, radiation, chopping off, like, open up your suit and show us your hand as he's outside on an vehicular walk thing, and then loses his hand, and everybody like not giving a shit about it because, oh, we could just reprint your ass and you'll be fine. Even though every time this kind of happens, kind of echoing the Prestige, a unique person is killed and dies. I mean, because we even see that stark difference with 17 and 18. I wish that had been focused on more. Because all of the rest of the stuff, it's like, it's surface level kind of exploration of like, okay, shit on Earth's pretty bad. There's a lot of ethical dilemmas with this whole reprinting thing, but it goes more on the comedy route, which I don't have a problem with, but if you're going to use that, kind of explore it a little bit and don't have all these different kind of plates spinning at once, because it doesn't completely and utterly crash, but it just kind of distracted me. It's like, oh, we are just going to see these plates spinning and we're not really going to have much from them. Okay. It wasn't horrible, and it didn't feel like a complete waste of time, but there's other movies that I would say were a better use of my time, or that I would find more enjoyable. Yeah. So, it's not that I would say to completely and utterly avoid this, but understand what you're kind of getting into, and hopefully you find it maybe funnier than I did, and thereby you'd get better enjoyment out of it. I'm like, okay, I kind of get this. I definitely got more enjoyment out of Pattinson being able to kind of explore these different kind of characters, mainly in regards to 17 and 18, because they do have a stark difference, but 17 kind of rubs off on 18, where he is less sociopathic and psychopathic, but he still utilizes that for more kind of good, and starts looking less at Mickey 17 as a weakling. He even tries to help him out a little bit, being like, listen, you didn't kill the mom. The button didn't do anything. It was probably a product defect. Mom's driving wasn't the part of it either. It's like, we discussed this. I'm like, when the fuck did you guys discuss this shit? Like, that would have been an interesting fucking conversation to have with that. And then Mickey 17 still having those kind of reoccurrence of guilt, and why that would be happening. Maybe even linking that up with how they do the memory implantation and everything, because we do see that the scientists do not give that much of a shit, because one of them tripped over one of the things as the upload was going on and then had to plug the thing back in. What kind of ramifications and effects does that have? That was more of the... It's more like, I'm like, my interest for it was more on like, oh, that, instead of the comedy of like, oh, let's kill them in all these kind of multiple ways and everything like that. I think that's where the kind of disconnect comes from me, and that's why I don't say that this movie is really bad or anything. Why I was more kind of confused by it and what they tried to focus on. And I don't think that makes it a bad movie. I just thought that it would probably deal with these matters in a little different kind of way than it actually did. And the way it did deal with it didn't really jive with me, but not that it was completely and utterly horribly executed. I do think there are too many subplots and everything that kind of just dangle because Kai kind of disappears for a fucking while and then just pops back up at the end like, oh, okay, cool. Timo does the same kind of thing. It's like at a certain kind of point, after dealing with the whole multiple situations, we then deal with the creeper situation to kind of get us into a stable end game goal for the denouement and just finishing out the movie. So that's almost where the thing of like the plot, even the plot kind of goes to the movie. You know, I gotta wrap this up. Can we kind of just like shift these out to the side and kind of get to a point where we get this ended? So it's like, oh, okay. Alright. So, if you're looking into a weird kind of sci-fi comedy, check it out. If you're not that into Robert Pattinson, that might be a turnoff. He is the biggest kind of selling point and thing and anchor point here. If you're into Mark Ruffalo, they don't really give him much to work with other than douchebag politician dude doing stupid shit. And the thing is, he's a lot better than that. I've liked him in stuff that he was in before the MCU and in the MCU, so your mileage will probably vary on this one for that kind of factor. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.